The simple answer is investment in technology. The government announced in April a procurement program worth 2.1 billion euros for buying various pieces of firefighting equipment, but particularly drones, and that's made a big difference this year. These drones operate on a 24/7 basis, flying in Greek skies, particularly over Athens and its greater Attica region where the bulk of the Greek population lives, and they have enabled the fire department to detect fires much more quickly, which means they can react much more quickly, to the extent that they can respond to an outbreak of fire within 5 to 10 minutes. And that has really helped them contain fires compared to previous years.
Okay. So in New York, with the Bragg case, the judge, it's basically, we don't want to show an appearance of impropriety. We don't want to have people looking at this and saying that our decision on sentencing had anything to do with the presidential election. And also, sentencing get put off all the time. And the DA in this case, Alvin Bragg, did not oppose putting off the sentencing. So there really was no counter to this. And the judge also said, a lot's going on in this case. It's a very important date and a very important thing to sentence someone. And I don't want any other distractions during that. So
yeah. Long ago that you actually owned some of these assets. Why go back into wireline? Why are we seeing this convergence again?
Thank you for having me, first of all. I think this is very straight into our core strategy. We are sort of in mobility and broadband, serve basically all types of customers in this market, consumer, SMBs, large enterprise and governments. This is just extending the offerings and optionality for the customers we have. So this is a really good decision by us to do it, an economical right. And on top of that, as you mentioned, yes, we own these assets before, but they were a totally different type of assets. There was basically a copper-based business. Nowadays, Frontier is more than 50% of the revenue is fiber, and way more than 50% of the EBITDA is coming from fiber. So a large transformation have been done, and it fits in straight to our strategy overall.
To things, as we've been talking about for years, Hans. Where does that come into play?
It comes definitely into play in these assets. I mean, as I said, we expect this to take 18 months. We already right now have a sort of an AI prepared network with a lot of compute and storage at the edge of the network. We decided already some 6 years ago to fiberize all our transport, so we are really prepared of it. The Frontier asset is just coming in as an extension of that, and we can meet even more customers to have processing, storage at the edge of the network with the fiberized transport. So this is really also another advantage we're getting with even more assets in the ground, and of course serving consumers with home broadband together with our mobile and home offering is of course a strength in the overall acquisition.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you're joining the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. And make sure you go like and follow the TikTok. And guys, it's the Crypto Teacher's birthday. Make sure you continue on hitting that Cash App. We're going to party. We know the smartest people are born on the 7th. Thanks for all the donations. Now we have drones fighting fires. And guys, I've done plenty of videos on it. But guys, if you're a fireman, you already know what the problems are. Find the solution. So therefore, your money keeps coming in. Guys, remember, you got to get back to the creator. But these robots, algorithms, and drones are definitely going to take over the economy. And that's the reason why you have to get in the lab and get yourselves prepared. Now we have Trump case delayed until November. And guys, we know we always have drama in November. We have the election. We have Jerome back in the House early in that November. I think it was a day right after the election. And once we get this new president, the administration takes over at the beginning of next year, the NWO is about to wake the sheep. And I'm going to go over that later. Now we have Verizon buys back assets that it had handed over to Frontier. And he was asked several times, why are you buying it back? It doesn't make sense to buy it back. Copper, why are you buying it back? Guys, we know copper is going to be the new gold when it comes to the 4th Industrial Revolution. That's the reason why they want it. Hans is not fooling nobody. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And we have Japan, of course, raising rates. The dollar is getting strong, and we know that's going to control the Fed path and the other central banks. Remember, the United States World Reserve currency is going to lose that title. We're going to go to a level playing field, and that's the reason why we're going to have government spending cuts. They're going to be cutting like crazy. That's the reason why Trump keeps talking about it. Elon, just about anyone that's telling the truth about the economy, the government has to stop spending, and we know who that hurts the most. Of course, the poor and the middle class. And again, that's the reason why I tell you to get in the lab, because these layoffs are coming. Remember, the NWO caused the problem, wait for the reaction, and run in with the solution. They've already caused the problem. Now we're going to have layoffs like crazy, 2025, 2026. Of course, the people are going to beg. They're going to give that reaction. And then, of course, that solution is on its way. The robots, algorithms, and drones, along with programmable money, being able to tell you what, where, and how to buy, and you have 3 to 6 months to spend it, or poof, it's gone. And I always tell you guys, this is biblical. Only thing you have to do is pick up that good book, and you'll be able to tell what's going to happen before it happens. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
You think the move from August 5th to, let's say, September 5th was justified? Was it too much? Was it built on reality? What do you think?
It's hard to know. I know that there was panic that caused that 3-day drawdown, and the VIX spiked to 66, so we know that there was panic. But we also know there was a ton of cash on the sidelines already into August that was put to work. And I think part of this was a liquidity move, because we know the yen was highly correlated with that move. And it's kind of happening again. The yen's turned strong, and it's been putting pressure on stocks.
I believe the time has come to lower the target range for the federal funds rate at our upcoming meeting. Reducing the policy rate now is consistent, for example, with many versions of what are called the Taylor rule, which suggests reducing the policy rate is appropriate given the data in hand. Furthermore, I do not expect this first cut to be the last. With inflation and employment near our longer-run goals and the labor market moderating, it is likely that a series of reductions will be appropriate. I believe there is sufficient room to cut the policy rate and still remain somewhat restrictive to ensure inflation continues towards our 2% target. Now, determining the appropriate pace at which to reduce policy restrictiveness will be challenging. Choosing a slower pace of rate cuts gives time to gradually assess whether the neutral policy rate has in fact risen, which a lot of people have been discussing. But we do so at the risk of moving too slowly and putting the labor market at risk. Cutting the policy rate at a faster pace means a greater likelihood of achieving a soft landing, but at the risk of overshooting on rate cuts if the neutral rate has in fact risen above its pre-pandemic level. This would cause an undesired loosening of monetary policy. Determining the pace of rate cuts and ultimately the total reduction in the policy rate are decisions that lie in the future. They are not going to be decided today. But as of today, I believe it is important to start the rate cutting process at our next meeting. If subsequent data show a significant deterioration, not softening, but deterioration in the labor market, the FOMC can act quickly and forcefully to adjust monetary policy. I am open-minded about the size and pace of cuts, which will be based on what the data tell us about the evolution of the economy, and not on any preconceived notion of how and when the committee should act. If the data supports cuts at consecutive meetings, then I believe it will be appropriate to do so.
Accumulated evidence has increased my confidence that inflation is moving sustainably toward 2%. The current restrictive stance of monetary policy has been effective in restoring balance to the economy and in bringing inflation down. With the economy now in equipoise and inflation on a path to 2%, it is now appropriate to dial down the degree of restrictiveness in the stance of policy by reducing the target range for the federal funds rate. This is the natural next step in executing our strategy to achieve our dual mandate goals. And looking ahead, with inflation moving toward the target and the economy in balance, the stance of monetary policy can be moved to a more neutral setting over time, depending, again, on the evolution of the data, the outlook, and the risks to achieving our objectives. The significant progress we've seen toward our objectives of price stability and maximum employment means that the risks to the two sides of our dual mandate have moved into equipoise. Now, this is because supply and demand and imbalances have dissipated, labor market conditions have eased from being exceptionally tight, and inflation has come down significantly. Now, many factors have contributed to this favorable set of circumstances, and I would include the Federal Reserve's strong actions to restore price stability.
I've learned in my career to not invest based on what I would do. It's like you got to follow what they're going to do. And listen, I think they should go 50. Do I think they're going to go 50? I mean, we got an inflation report next week. I mean, that's going to be important. Listen, I think they're going to err on the side of doing 25s and stay down the fairway. I don't agree with it. I think the funds rate at 5 3/8. When you've got inflation running, we're going to get the data. But the last 3 months, you take the high frequency data. Core CPI is running at under 2%, 1.6%. You strip out shelter, it's actually negative. And we know shelter's coming down. 5 3/8 is the wrong price. I think they should get there sooner. My sense is they're not in as much of a rush, and I don't think they learned that much today. You've got a slowly deteriorating labor market, but the slope of the line is just not that intense. And so, should they go 50? I think they will. Or I think they should. Will they? I don't know.
Talk me through your thinking and what is it that's pivoted you from a Goldilocks soft landing to a recession? Because the market's gone from 6 cuts to virtually no cuts to 4 cuts and now 50 basis points on the docket. So what tripped you over from Goldilocks to recession?
Yeah, so we've been consistent on this, thinking that the Fed raised rates to restrictive levels. That's meant to slow the economy, and that would happen with maybe a significant lag. And I think those lags have just caught up to us now. So what we've been watching over the last 6 months is a consistent story in the labor market. And I think that's where we should really be putting today's single monthly jobs number in the context of an unemployment rate that's risen almost 1 percentage point. So it's not just the July report that we're talking about and what happens in August. It's really this transit upward in the unemployment rate. What we saw in the JOLTS data earlier this week, where we have the hiring rate that's come down and hiring that's very subdued. So I think what a lot of people are looking at now is a job market where they're saying, well, we're not seeing these big layoffs, so things must not be that bad. And that's true right now. The problem is, as that hiring rate comes down, it's telling us that firms are becoming less and less excited about growing their labor force. And the next move that you typically see in a cycle is that move towards layoffs. So I think that's what we should all be concerned about here.
We're going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity, and if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of a huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we can have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting it more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets. Now,
it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and when the dealers have to step in to save a treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence. And
Cryptoteacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get on stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing they were still getting that free money, what are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Drama Team Save the Village. Part 2. King Joshua and Drama Team Save New York. From COVID-33. Part 3. King Joshua and Drama Team goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.